You are listening to the best of Talk to Me on uncontrollednoise.com. Make sure to tune in each Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, to uncontrollednoise.com for 2 hours of the best conversation and metal on the internet. Not much, man. What are you up to?
Not a lot, man.
Taking some time off the road, as I see?
Just a couple of days. I got a little breather in the schedule here, and I got home Monday, and then I'm leaving again Saturday. So just a few days to kind of run around town like a crazy man, getting stuff done, going to doctors, going to dentists, going to my bank, getting the car in the shop, and get a haircut. You know, try to get all this stuff done when you're a busy road man. You don't have too much time to do that. So.
Well, what's funny is you seem to have all the time in the world to go sightseeing when you're out on tour, because every time you post pictures on tour, you're at some famous movie site. You're in the Green Monster at the Red Sox Stadium, Fenway Park. I mean, how do you find time to do all this stuff?
Well, I tell you what, I just came off a tour that made it really easy for sightseeing. I've been working for a band called Phish, Phish.
Oh yeah, everybody knows Phish.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, they tour, and they tour rather easily to where they spend multiple night stands in each city they're in. So we would do 2, 3, 4 nights in most of these cities we were going to. So that would give me a whole lot of free time where I kind of had a lot of time to play around in the daytime. So we were in Boston, and they gave us a guided tour of Fenway Park and got to go inside the Green Monster.
I saw that.
Got to see it from the inside where the people work down there and hang the scoreboard numbers and all. And it was just really cool to kind of play around in a Major League Baseball stadium like that. And I've actually been to a couple of games at Fenway before in the past, so it was like really weird to kind of be down there and on the field. And all. It's like, wow, this is really cool.
So how do you go about finding all of these like movie sites? Because you'll post a photo of like the most random movie possible, and then you'll post like you outside the house that movie was taking place in. What kind of websites are you on? What kind of app do you have on your phone to find all this stuff?
Well, it's kind of funny. Internet Movie Database, IMDb, is a really good one that gives a lot of locations. And sometimes you got to just Google the hell out of a movie, and learn to read Wikipedia, read production notes. And I found that there's like a cult world out there for almost any movie you can think of or name. You just get on the internet and look and find the right spots, and they'll tell you everything you need to know. It's like this past Saturday I was in Woodstock, Illinois, which is where the film Groundhog Day with Bill Murray was made in 1992. And the whole town, like, really embraces that movie was made there. There's, like, plaques up everywhere, like Bill Murray stepped in this puddle right here. They really kind of embrace the history of it and welcome people to come there and see it, and it was really cool to take the time and go do some of this stuff, Yeah,
you posted a couple of photos of you posted some photos of that trip, and what I noticed was some of the shots you took were almost exact from the movie, and I could see it right away, because when you show me like a classic spot, I pretty much need like my hand held all the way to like, this is exactly, where it was, what happened or whatnot. But where he runs into to Ned in Groundhog's Day, that little corner that you posted, I was like, I know exactly what that is.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And when I get to these places, and just using that example is perfect, when I get to these places and see them, I like kind of immediately walk around and try to find the camera view you see in the film and go, okay, boom, that's it. I recognize it. And then, you'll see it from other angles and you might not even catch it, But when I finally walked around, I took my GoPro with me and made a little YouTube video that I guess maybe you've seen, I hope. But I kind of walked around with the GoPro and then, like you said, found that exact spot where Ned's crossing the street and he turns around and sees Bill Murray. Bill?
Too good. Yeah. So what's it like being on tour with Phish?
Well, my job was pretty easy. I had the lighting crew, and they were a very nice bunch of people. I didn't have any of the musicians. All the band guys tour in Star Coaches, so they each have their own bus.
Wow.
So we rolled with 9. We had 5 crew buses, 4 band buses. No
there's only 4
act.
dudes in Fish?
Yeah, there's only 4 band members. No support act. They just play. I think they play 2 full sets,
Crazy.
And that's how they roll. We had guess 8 or 9 big tractor trailers and played mostly your typical amphitheater type tour. A few arenas here and there, and then we also did Bonnaroo, which was really cool.
And then get in and out.
Well, for us, it was pretty easy. The buses and all have to go through a bomb sweep and all, where they got to do a pretty good inspection there on before they let you on the grounds, which is totally understandable. We're living in a post 9/11 world nowadays, so it's totally understandable. It takes a little extra time, and they got to bring the dogs and the mirrors, and they kind of go all around the bus, and they'll give you your clearances to go. We got in after the traffic was already in on Thursday, so I saw on the news where people were waiting 11 and 12 hours to get in there. We didn't have it that bad. We had maybe 45 minutes or so doing the little bomb sweep, and then they had escort cars to take us right to where the buses needed to go. And I live 85 miles from Bonnaroo, so I had to stay down there Thursday, but on Friday I had my girlfriend come pick me up and bring me back home. So so my Bonnaroo experiences was a couple extra days at home because we were right at the start of our tour, and I was like, man, I'd rather spend that weekend at home, because then Sunday I had to go back to Bonnaroo, and then we kind of took off and running for the tour then, and then we were out for 5 weeks. But so I squeezed a couple extra days at home instead of going to Bonnaroo. But I did walk around the Bonnaroo grounds Friday to see some of it, and it was really cool because the only other time I've ever been to Bonnaroo was in 2008. A bus driver I know let me borrow his laminate, and I went to go see Metallica.
Oh, I didn't know.
And I got in there about 10 minutes before Metallica took the stage. I got in there, and I saw the full Metallica set, and about 10 minutes after Metallica went off, I was leaving Bonnaroo. So that was my whole Bonnaroo experience, was just seeing Metallica in 08.
Too much. Too good. Well, speaking of Metallica, that's the one thing I wanted to bring up with you was a couple of Metallica items coming out that the metal world is kind of taken by surprise, I guess, however you want to say it. But 2 items. The first item we'll talk about is Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Injustice for All Jigsaw puzzles are all coming out.
I was unaware of that one, actually. Wow.
Let's see. The story on Blabbermouth here comes from plastichead.com, where you can get these. The iconic art of some of metal's most influential, highly regarded albums will be presented in puzzle form for the first time ever. The UK's Z Productions will release the first 4 classic Metallica album covers as 500-piece jigsaw puzzles. All puzzles come in a vinyl box set-sized box that will fit alongside vinyl record collections. So
interesting.
I'm kind of into it. I mean, I'm 40. You're, 42, 43 now? I mean,
I'm 42, yeah.
Yeah, so there we go. We got some puzzles we can sit around in our rocking chairs and make and put puzzles together.
Yeah. I don't know much about the puzzles, but I will tell you, I have the Metallica whiskey right here at the house, and I have the Metallica beer as well.
Yeah, I've got some of that. I drank one of both. The Metallica beers. I didn't drink
I enjoy them both, actually, yeah.
I wonder why they didn't do the Black Album in puzzle form. That would be the tricky one.
Yeah, you're right, all black.
The only thing you have is that little funny snake in the corner to go by.
Yeah, I was just talking with a couple of the Fish bus drivers the other day. One of them actually worked for Metallica on the Load tour in '97.
Oh, wow.
And so he knows I'm a big Metallica fan. We were all talking about the Black Album, and I was telling him about the scene in A Year and a Half in the Life of Metallica when they had a dressing room next door to Spinal Tap's.
Oh, right.
And Spinal Tap was mad at them and came in there, and they were like, Metallica, we got a bone to pick with you guys. It's called the Black Album. Where did the idea come from to do an all-black album?
It's too funny.
Oh God, that was so funny.
I'm not finding the story on here, but the other thing they have is a children's book coming out, Metallica's ABCs of the history of Metallica, where it teaches kids, their ABCs, also gives them a little bit of a history lesson into Metallica. And I'm all for it because I have a 4-year-old. He's totally going to get this for Christmas, and we're going to sit down, and he already knows his ABCs, but now he needs to learn his ABCs of Metallica.
Absolutely. That's a great thing, man. I'm not familiar with it. I mean, I got the email from Metallica about it, but I haven't seen it in person yet or bought it yet. But I'm curious about it. I would like to see it, and I think it is a great idea.
So what was the last Metallica thing you did? I know you're always running out to like Metallica days and all this other nonsense.
Yeah, let's see. What did I do last Metallica event? I went to Metallica Day at the San Francisco Giants. My girlfriend and I flew out there and spent a couple of days. We've done it 2 years in a row now, and I kind of just make a Metallica vacation out of it. And so I found a friend of mine tipped me off to the address of the liquor store you see in the opening of Clifford Mall. And so we went there, and I don't know if you saw my video, but I filmed and I took the exact audio from Metallica's video, and I had my girlfriend film me going to the beer case and getting a 6-pack of Lowenbrow just like Lars does, come walking by the camera with it.
That's too much, man. What's the girlfriend think of all this?
Oh, she gets a little. She's not really into it, but she's been a trooper. We went to St. Louis and we at the stadium tour in 2017. We stood in the pouring down rain for 7.5 hours straight, and it was a lot to take. We were wore out after that day. Them stadium shows, man, they really wear you out. And her and I actually had a chance encounter with Lars in January, and we were telling him I was wearing my Volbeat jacket, and he was like, Volbeat? And I was like, yeah. I go, her and I drove to St. Louis last year to see you guys with them, stood in the pouring down rain for 7.5 hours.
The last time I saw them was they came through here a few months, I guess earlier this year, and I didn't know if I was going to have tickets or not. And then in true me fashion, about 4 o'clock that day, I got a text, and it was like, meet this guy at this gate and blah, blah, blah. And it turned out that he was like one of the heads of security with Metallica. And
oh, cool.
And so he comes up to me, hugs me. I've never met him before in my life. Hugs me. So good to see you, man. How you been doing? I've been like, I've been great. Gave him a big old hug back. And he walked me into the show. And as we were walking, cool. He gave me the little wristband. He's like, this will get you onto the floor and you can go wherever you want. And he's like, here's the commemorative pick for today. And gave me a couple of picks. And basically he's like, all right, man, we'll go have fun. And I was like, all right. What happened was he ended up being, I guess he was in one of Nonpoint's original videos. And him and Rob from Nonpoint have stayed in touch ever since. And so Rob hooked me up that day with some sweet tickets. And so,
oh, dude, very cool.
And I went by myself, so I kind of weaseled my way all the way up to the front. And then at one point, where they do the in the round stuff, James is like right there. I mean, I was like 3 people back from the barricade, and I could see the acne scars on James's face. So,
dude, it was so, that stage was so cool. Same here. I felt so close to the band. I got a high five from Hetfield when he was going to the stage. And I'm kind of like an amateur concert photographer. I'm not a pro by any means, but I have been doing some of it here lately and really enjoying it.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, I was so impressed with the pictures I got that night. I got pictures right up in their faces, and I was like, wow, I've never got such good live photographs of them before. But I've got like in-action shots of them that just look like totally pro quality. And I'm like so proud of myself. I'm like, I did those.
I was thinking...
And my girlfriend, she took one of Hetfield that was just so awesome. I go, man, these just look totally pro quality,
Aside from the time that we saw them at the basement, which I didn't actually see them, I only saw...
Same here. I didn't get in either. I was just in the alley there.
I was walking up to the club as they were playing Seek and Destroy, and it was like, all right, good night, thank you. And then James comes walking out, and he walks right past me, so I high-fived him. That's all I could think to do. I was just like, oh, there's James Hetfield. But aside from that, dude, the last time I'd seen him before that was like 97 with Corrosion of Conformities. I mean, it was like so long ago.
Yeah, you're right. 97 Tour Touring Me played the brand new Nashville Arena. That was their first time to ever play the new arena.
Yeah, that was awesome. But
yeah, it was yeah.
But that night before Bonnaroo was crazy. That whole trying to get down there to see the show and all that stuff.
Yeah, that was so cool. I went down there, and a friend of mine called me and said, "Hey, Metallica's going to take the stage at the basement." I was like, "What? You got to be full of shit." But I knew they were in town. You know, I knew Metallica was in town. I was waiting to hear when the guys were going to start popping up somewhere. So I shot down to the basement, and I saw like 20 Metro cop cars surrounding the place. And I was like, holy crap, they must really be here. And I parked and I walked down the alley, and of course the show was just packed to capacity. It was like, I think 150 people or all it holds, and it was just full. But I could totally hear the band just going to town, and they were on Fuel, which I think was their second song. So I basically got to hear the whole show out there in the alley, just didn't get inside.
Right. No, it was cool. I mean, that was
a band as big as, but I remember a band as big as them, and at that time period, 2008, they came out and like were signing autographs and taking pictures of people, and I was like, holy crap, you don't see like bands as big as them like doing this kind of stuff anymore. But they still were, you know. It's like there's like 150 people here, and I guarantee you they were all in that alley. And like Hetfield went on his bus and chilled out for a minute, but he even came down and signed and took pictures of people, and I was just, wow, that's just fucking cool. A band, you know, that big, just still coming down and spending some time with a little guy, you know. That's
well, they've always kind of seemed like the people's band to me, you know, where growing up, you know, to me it was always Guns N' Roses versus Metallica, and for me it was always Metallica because I was even though they've made $1 bazillion, they still feel like, you know, you could go and have a beer with them and they wouldn't shun you, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Even though when you're watching Lars and some kind of monster selling his paintings for like $13 million or whatever.
Yeah, he even made $10 million on his paintings. Like, holy crap.
That's how you do it, man. That's how people make money. People make money, you know, by doing stupid shit like that.
Yeah. You're right.
Well,
who knew the art world was so lucrative, right?
Right. Yeah.
You buy $1 million painting and you sell it a few years later for $10 million, you know?
Oh, exactly. That's why I'm going to change my mic up here. We were talking earlier, and you had kind of jogged my memory about a good Dimebag story. Do you remember the whole story of how that came down, where we saw him?
I do.
Practicing.
Do you remember it?
You know that you jogged my memory.
That.
So.
Yeah. Well, what happened? I don't know how well you remember it, but this is how I remembered it. We were watching Coal Chamber play.
Yeah.
And Machine Head was coming on next, and you and I were kind of taking a gamble. We were like, we should go out of the amphitheater and go around to the back. You remember that? We completely exited the show, kind of taking a gamble on it. But luckily, I remember Tony Wiggins, the bus driver, did give me passes.
Yeah.
So you and I had the passes in our back pocket, and we went down there. Remember, Debs brought us in from the back, from the gate, remember?
Yep.
And we went, and I remember we were kind of standing there by the edge of the dressing rooms. I remember there was some kind of mix up there. They were standing or holding us there because they were like, "Oh, your passes aren't right," or something. Your passes don't work for here. Just stay right here till we talk to somebody. Remember that? And then while we were standing there, we were right beside Dimebag's dressing room, and I remember there was like a little crack in the curtain. And I remember Josh was like, "Josh, look, there's Dimebag," and he was looking in the mirror like. And he had his Rebel Flag guitar strapped on, but he was totally playing it up in the mirror. And I was like, "Oh my God, look, it's Dimebag!" And he's like playing it up. And then we got to walk down the hallway, and I remember a door opened right in front of us, and Phil Anselmo was standing there. And I was like, "Hey, Phil," and he goes, "What's up, Daddy-O?"
That's too good, man. Those were the
what
shows
a cool
back
night.
then. Those were some of the best shows. It's funny. I'm in a bunch of
fun.
In a bunch of Pantera forums, and you know the question's always asked, like, "Did you ever get to see him live?" And I was like, "Man, I think I saw him like 12 times." So I'm super lucky to have gotten to see him so many times.
Yeah, I only got them 4 times, but I'm like you. I treasured them all, man. They were all great. In fact, that night in '97 was the last time I saw them. I never got to see them on Reinventing the Steel or any of that. But I was touring with Sugar Ray and Uncle Kracker, and we had a show in Seattle, and they were up there on the Extreme Steel tour, the one with Slayer and Morbid Angel and all that.
Oh, yeah.
And they had a night off, and they came out to our show. And I remember, like, coming into the backstage, going into the dressing room for Sugar Ray, and it was like, wow, there's, like, Vinnie Paul, and he's standing right there. You know? I remember I immediately walked over to him and started talking to him. He gave me his business card and was like, next time you're in Dallas, come to the clubhouse and let's do a shot together. I was like, oh, man, this is so cool.
Yeah, last time I got to see him on Reinventing the Steel at in Chicago. It was the tour before the last tour. It was the tour with Soulfly, Morbid Angel, and Nothing Face, and yeah, it was awesome. I still have my backstage pass from that one, so that was awesome.
Yeah, dude, awesome, man. I remember that time I saw them in Seattle was in 2001, and it was sadly, it was at the end of their touring career because I think they played Seattle and they went up and did Vancouver, and then they were done. They would never perform again because they went to, was it Spain? I think they went to when 9/11 happened. They all got there and they got ready for production rehearsals over there, and then 9/11 happened, and everybody got freaked, and they turned around and came home, and that Pantera had never performed again.
Crazy. Yeah, I think I saw him 2000 or 2001 in Chicago, but yeah, it was. You look back and you're like, you hate that you realize that was the last time you saw him, but for a run there, from the first show that I saw him with you in '94 through all that, I think I saw him roughly 12 times. Yeah. So good stuff, man.
Wow, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, they were great, man. I even before Vinny passed, I've missed them for years. Just like, man, I just wish I had a time machine so I could go back and just see some of these guys just totally kick ass again.
Have you got to see any of the video of Phil doing the Pantera sets?
No, but I've been hearing he's going to do that on the Slayer tour, right?
Yeah, he's doing the whole Slayer tour, doing a full vulgar display, or it says vulgar display of Pantera, but I believe it's an entire Pantera set.
Wow, that's really cool. I'm glad to hear he's embracing that and actually doing it. That's
well, I do kind of wonder, not to get all crazy, but I mean, I do kind of wonder how much this has to do with Vinnie Paul passing. If there was a, he couldn't really do that with Vinnie around or anything like that, or if this is truly just a tribute to Vinnie and to Dime. I would love to see Rex come out for a couple of shows.
That would be awesome. And you're probably right. It's probably a good time to do it with Vinny just recently passing. Pantera is very, very fresh on a lot of the fans' minds and a lot of us, and that kind of, they're into that kind of music and that kind of niche. There is kind of a good little flame going around about Pantera right now, with Vinny just passing last year. So it probably really is a good, smart move for him to do this. Now would probably be the time. And Phil Anselmo, like it or not, he is the voice of
Yes, he
the
is.
voice with him. So it is his. Being a fan of those guys, I really wish Vinny and him could have put their differences aside and kind of at least been friends again. I mean, hell, they made history together.
Yes, they did. And that's the one thing with all of those guys. I know from so many people in the industry and through media and all this other stuff that to the day Vinny passed, I don't think that he ever forgave Phil for anything.
Yeah, I don't believe they ever spoke. I know I did hear from people that they were when they would go through their management to make business decisions on like the re-releases of the records, and when they would do business decisions, that they agreed on a lot of things. But as far as I know, I don't believe they ever spoke or ever saw each other again.
Crazy.
I heard from someone.
Okay.
Don't know if this is true or not, but I heard Phil Anselmo tried to show up at a Hell Yeah show.
Really?
I did hear he tried to come see Vinny at a show, and he was denied. So
wow.
I did hear, and I heard this several years ago, so I imagine this was probably when I was with 311, I heard that in probably about like 2010 or so. I guess back when Hell Yeah was like brand new. And I don't know where it was or whatnot, but somebody in the crew had told me that, that Phil had tried to show up at a show to visit with Vinny, and they never got together.
Wow, I've definitely never heard that one. That's a crazy story.
Like I said, I may just be spreading bad rumors. Maybe it ain't true. I don't know. Maybe somebody from Phil and Selma's camp knows something. But.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing too. And my my stance on this whole Hell Yeah going out and honoring the life of Vinnie Paul or whatnot. I'm like, give it up, man. Like Hell Yeah was never a good band. And I'm just,
dude, you know what? I hate to say it, but I agree with you 100% on that, and I'm kind of a little bothered by it. I'm wanting to hear the record. I want to hear Vinny's final drum tracks.
Yeah,
but taking it out on tour and then making Hell Yeah a still existing band. Roy Moraga, great drummer. I do like him. Met him a couple times. He's a real nice guy. I like him, but man, I just don't know. To me, Hell Yeah was always Vinnie Paul.
Yeah,
Well, I like the songs, man. But I just don't know. I'm not really probably going to be all behind this upcoming Hell Yeah tour. I don't know. If they came around here, I would go see them. I just don't know how I feel about it, though. I don't know. What are you thinking on that? You go see them, Josh?
No, I will not go see that. I have my own issues with Hell Yeah, but as far as just musically, it should have been a great band. It was two dudes from Mudvayne, two dudes from Nothing Face, plus the dude, Pantera's drummer. It should have been the most amazing band ever because I love Nothing Face, and I thought Mudvayne was great. Obviously, Pantera is my favorite band, and then they came out with like Alcohol and Ass, and you're just like, what is this nonsense? Which Vinny was probably way into, but
because I could see him wanting to kind of. Maybe be a little silly, just coming out of something as serious as Pantera and then Damage Plan kind of carrying on the serious, and then finally, hell, let's write a song called Alcohol and Ass. When you knew Vinnie Paul off stage, he loved girls and he loved drinking. So that was probably two of his very, very favorite things ever,
Well, think of the last night that they came through here, Chris Cale, our friend from Five Finger Death Punch, was in town. And I went down with him, and obviously him and Vinny were very close. So it's a small club. We were on the side of the stage. I was like right there as Vinny was playing drums. It was amazing. After the show, we go downstairs. Vinny's holding court. He's telling all these stories. I don't even know if I told you this or not, but I actually asked him what apple chutney was because I'd always wondered from that picture of us and Dime.
Oh, from that shirt Dime wears in the picture.
Yeah. And he just said it was just some inside joke that they had on tour with one of their tour guys, and Dime had an airbrush shirt made, so, but yeah, so yeah, it was fun. It was a great time. Chris was like, "Don't bring your recorder. I don't want to be the podcast guy." But looking back now, I wish I would have just stuck a recorder in my pocket because Vinny was telling all kinds of great stories. This was right after they'd played Columbus, Ohio for the first time, and he was telling a story about how everyone that saw him was just like, "Are you okay? Is everything okay?" And he said the only thing that he wasn't okay with was how many people kept asking him how okay he was.
Yeah. I got a Columbus Vinnie Paul story for you, actually.
All right.
Since you just touched on that. We when I worked for Disturbed and we were on Uproar with them in 2010, I was with Disturbed, so we were staying in kind of the nicer hotels along the way, the big nice luxury, like the Hotel Intercontinental in Kansas City, and Vinny was staying there. I don't think all of Hell Yeah was, but just Vinny was. So Vinny was always in the same hotels with Disturbed, the kind of higher end hotels, So we, and I didn't know that Vinny had a thing on Columbus, Ohio, and that he didn't perform there, right? So I figured the whole tour is going to Columbus, but we stopped at a truck stop outside Buffalo, New York, and all the buses on the tour were like pulling into this Flying J truck stop because it was right by the venue we had just played. So I go into the men's room and go to the urinal, and here's Vinnie Paul on the urinal right beside me. So and I had talked to Vinny a few times, around on that tour, and also I'm on the urinal beside him. So I tell Vinny, I was like, "So I guess we'll see you at the Westin in Columbus tomorrow night, right?" And we're both just kind of sitting there taking a leak, and Vinny turned to me and he goes, "No, man." He goes, I'm going to go up to Montreal for a couple days, and then I'll catch back up with the tour. And I was like, "Oh, okay, gotcha. Well, we'll catch you in a couple days then." Then we both kind of flushed our toilets, washed our hands, and got out of there. Wow. And then I didn't realize till later on, it was like, yeah, Vinnie Paul does not do Columbus. And I was like, oh, shit.
Good job, Jeremy.
And they told
Good
me,
job.
they told me, yeah, he don't even like driving through Ohio. He would make the bus drivers go hundreds of miles out of the way to just not go through Ohio. He was really freaked out by it.
That's insane. That is insane, man. That's I don't know, man. I'm excited that Phil's out doing the Pantera set. You know, hopefully, I don't know if it's a money grab. You know, because I'm assuming that he's probably getting huge paychecks to play this stuff. But I was watching some of the video, and if you get a chance, go to his Facebook page, Philip H. Anselmo and the Illegals. There's a ton of footage from all of the festivals they did overseas. And the light shows, you know, very Pantera-esque. You know, they got all the lights going. All the songs are there. You know, the band is kind of so-so. I'm not 100% on the band yet. But, you know, kind of hearing him do some of the stuff. And, you know, don't get me wrong. Phil's voice is shot. But all in all, you know, it's him. It's those songs. I'm excited to go see him. You know, Slayer is coming through with other bands. I would probably still go, but I wouldn't be jumping on tickets so early. You know, this is the first time I think I've ever bought tickets like the moment they go on sale, you know, probably in 10, 15, 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. I totally get it. I hope I get a chance to catch it on this upcoming Slayer tour. If I'm not on the road in November when they're in Louisville, I'm thinking I might just run up there and hang out with you.
Yeah,
man.
have
to go catch a Slayer show together again.
Come up for the show, crash at the house, all that stuff. And
yeah, hell yeah. Dude, I had such a good time the last Slayer show you and I did together. I just thought it was a cool freaking experience because, first of all, you and I ain't done a concert together in, 20-some-odd years?
Right.
But then the other thing was you and I being kids and going to all these shows together and just wanting to be somebody in the metal world, you know. And then you and I walking around the arena together and people were recognizing you and they were recognizing me.
Right.
And we were like talking to people along. It was like, we've made it in this world. We're in the metal world. It's like, I'm the band bus forever for Megadeth. It's like people want to talk to me at these. And then you too. You got your podcast and you had your followers there. It was like, we're kind of famous. We're kind of a big deal at the Slayer show. You know?
Yeah, just very little. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. It's crazy to go back to Nashville, and you know, because I lived in Louisville for 15 years now, and so when I go back, people are still like, "To me, 12-volt negative Earth." Oh my god, you know, and it's still bizarre to me that people still care about all the old band stuff and all that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And man, I wish you were in town for the Rockin' Pod Expo, man, with Dave Ellefson coming in.
You give him a big hug for me because I do love the hell out of that guy. He's a cool cat.
Well, they'll probably kick me out for grabbing him, but but now he's bringing that base story thing, so he's going to do a whole set at the end of the Rockin' Pod with some of the guests. And I saw Kenny Olson's coming back, so I told him that he better get up with Dave, and hopefully they get to jam together too. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, wow. Very cool. Yeah, man. So tell Kenny hey for me, too. I text with him every once in a while. I hadn't heard from him recently, but, yeah, we still hang out and text back and forth a lot. So
Awesome. Well, Jeremy, man, thanks for taking the time tonight. I am going to run, but give me a Metallica song to play you out with.
Metallica song to rock out. Dude, I don't know about you, but I'm really pumped up on the new album. I jam the living hell out of it all the time still. Forgive me, man. I mean, this tour is so on fire, and they are opening every night with the title track, Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Right. Give me some Hardwired to Self-Destruct, brother.
All right, man. Well, it was great to talk to you, and hopefully you come up for Slayer.
All right, brother. Hopefully I'll see you in November at Slayer.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.
Later, brother. Be good, man. Rock on.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget to check out Talk to Me live every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on Uncontrolled Noise.